From an undisclosed location in the heart of Ottawa, Ontario, it's the Alec-McNorman-Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alec-McNorman-Show special election coverage 2021, or as I like to call it, Kick That Fuckhead Trudeau Out of Office Day. I'm Norman Hughes, the host of the show, and today I will be joined periodically by my lovely wife and producer of the show, Linda Hughes. Welcome, beautiful. Okay, let's get to it. Well, folks, it's been 36 days since old fuckboy called an election that no one wanted in the middle of a pandemic because of his failed attempt to seize more power in Parliament while using the pandemic as an excuse was thwarted by the official opposition many months ago. Yay, Conservatives! However, being a narcissistic shitheel surrounded by sycophants and losers, Mr. Trudeau thought that the country was ready, vulnerable, and not really paying attention, and thought they could use this rather opportune time to steal a majority government. They were wrong. In fact, they've fallen so far in the polls that many now believe they can lose even more seats they did in the 2019 election. So what does the sock puppet say to that? Well, I'm glad you asked. He says that if he does not receive his majority government and comes back in with a minority government, that we can expect to go back to the polls within another 18 months at a cost of probably another $610 million. Now, I realize you Liberal and NDP fans out there think that money is not important, but I can assure you it is, although it still can't buy you love. In fact, this current government has racked up more debt in the last 3 years than all of the other governments combined, and fuckboy still wants to borrow more money, and worse yet, if he doesn't get his way, he wants to waste another $600 million plus if he doesn't get his way. Totally unacceptable. Now, let's not also forget about the corruption and the scandals that have not only plagued this immoral, inept, corrupt, and narcissistic asshole, but his many sexually aggressive fellow Liberals who have had to step down from their posts recently, not because old JT has a zero-tolerance policy on sexual harassment. In fact, he continued to endorse these candidates until they stepped aside by themselves, but rather their accusers experienced things differently. That sounds familiar. Also, being a legal gun owner, I find it completely unacceptable that Canadians, especially those who lean left, are so willing to believe Bill Blair and his lies that legal gun owners are the root cause of gun violence in Canada, especially when their own stats show that gun crime was down dramatically under the federal Conservative government, which of course is quickly swept away by the numbers don't tell the story, only the Liberals know the real story. The fucking hubris. It's like watching Goebbels and Hitler in their heyday, and the people kind are lapping it up. And the other thing that really bothers me about this whole gun thing is that the reason why, if you can't really make the connection, allow me to help you make the connection. The Liberals soft on crime versus the Conservatives harder on crime is probably the main reason why you see more gun violence in the streets now than you did under the Conservatives. Why is that? Well, because the people that were committing the crimes were fucking locked up and not released with a slap on the wrist to go out and commit more crime. Anyway, nevertheless, here we are on Election Day. And although I am keenly aware of my bias towards Aaron O'Toole and the Conservative Party, I have tried very hard to listen to the other parties' so-called platforms. And I still honestly believe that it is imperative that we have a Conservative government to get this country back on track. And here's why. I believe that the Liberal catastrophe has more than spoken for itself. So if you can't see the shit show that they have become, you're too far gone and I can't help you. But please continue to subscribe to my channel because I need to have the advertising money. Now, the NDP. If I'm being honest, I like Jagmeet Singh. He's charismatic, intelligent, well-spoken, and even though I'm not gay, not that there's anything wrong with that, that's a nod to the current Seinfeld election, which is pretty much an election about nothing. He's very attractive as well. However, I cannot wrap my head around his tax the ultra rich bullshit, which he should be intelligent enough to know that will not work. I also love how he's taking JT to task on his many failed policies and scandals, yet somehow has never acknowledged the fact that he has openly stated that he would support another liberal minority government after he's already propped them up over the last 6 years. So which is it, Jagger? You can't have it both ways. JT, love him or hate him. You decide. The Green Party. Annemie Paul also appears to be an intelligent, articulate, and charismatic individual. However, even her own party doesn't support her. But that, from what I understand, the word on the street is that the majority of the Green Party are anti-Semites, which I don't understand. Once again, though, climate change is an important subject, but it's not the only subject that matters to Canadians. Therefore, I can't believe that there's actually enough national party to be dedicated to a single issue. Although, I must say, it has been rather nice not seeing Elizabeth May fumbling her way across the country and spouting her gibberish. That's been a pleasant treat. The Bloc. I still refuse to accept the Bloc Québécois as a national party, although I do think that Mr. Blanchet could be a good leader if he wasn't so concerned about his own province and thought about the rest of the country, which should be the responsibility of the provincial leader to do that. Now, the People's Party of Canada. This leads me to Mad Max and the unfortunately named People's Party of Canada. Still can't get my head around that one. Nothing demonstrates an "I'm taking my bat and my ball and I'm going home" temper tantrum than a grown man who has, for good reason, never been tapped on the shoulder to lead the party he has been with his entire life. So he starts his own pathetic party of like-minded individuals. It has been stated a few times by pundits and news personalities that, once again, people voting in this election will be voting emotionally and not cognitively, which gives me some regard. I have long believed that more people should put the good of the country ahead of their own personal gain when voting, and in other areas as well, but that appears to be wishful thinking. Case in point, the gain in the polls of the PPC leader with their leader being held in the same regard as David Koresh by his followers because they would be able to buy any gun that they wanted, limit immigration, control abortion, and of course the most important reason of all, that's right, maintain their right to place the rest of society at risk by refusing to receive an immunization that could not only save them, but those around them. Now, don't get me wrong. I support their right to refuse. However, they must understand that they are allowing the virus to continue to spread and mutate, and they cannot deny that. Full stop. So, if they want to go out and be on their own and have their stand up for the rights or whatever, that's cool. I can go with that. But you can't tell me that they're not helping spread the illness. That's just not how it's going to go, my friends. All right. So, which again brings me to my favorite, the Conservative Party of Canada. So, here we are. Not surprisingly, I voted for Erin O'Toole and the Conservative Party of Canada. I have to admit, without sounding like too much of a fanboy, that I've been waiting for a leader like Erin O'Toole to lead the CPC for some time, and I'm extremely grateful that he has accepted the great responsibility thrust upon him by the party and many Canadians. I've had the fortune to meet Mr. O'Toole on a few occasions and have become a great believer in his leadership, mentorship, and ability to govern this great country and help us all see Canada for what it is, which is one of, if not the best countries in the world. And we can become a country with a robust, diverse, and prosperous economy for anyone who chooses to work hard for it, as well as also have a caring and compassionate society to provide assistance for those who cannot due to various reasons. Mr. O'Toole has said, like many other Conservative leaders over the years, that every Canadian, regardless of color, race, creed, sexual orientation, or gender identity, can succeed in Canada, whereas the left, relying on heavily misguided notions and theories, continue to suggest that only a few minorities can succeed here, and even then only at the cost of Caucasian ruin, while at the same time decrying that the right is being divisive. I tell you, it's maddening sometimes, but I digress. So, what do I want to the take-home point of this for you people out there listening, you people kind out there listening, is that yes, I am a conservative, but more importantly, I am a Canadian. And it is for that reason that I implore you to put the country first and grant us a conservative government to get some honesty, openness, and transparency back into our collective elected government. Well, that's it for the Alec-McNorman-Show Election Edition. Stay tuned to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as I provide commentary throughout the remainder of the day. Until next time, be kind whenever you can, but have a plan to kill everyone in the room. Cheers.